Good afternoon, everybody. I'll run through this presentation. I would not, let's leave the deliberations to the question answer session. I'll take exactly around 10 minutes for this. And we can very well have, the chairperson did raise a lot of points which would actually draw a lot of deliberations during this. However, there's something which is required which to go in a very structured manner about healthcare in India. Why is this not moving? There are two major aspects usually involved in healthcare financing in the entire healthcare sector. One is healthcare financing and the other is healthcare delivery. The major models which are being adopted across the globe, predominantly tax funded, predominantly social insurance based, predominantly voluntary insurance based. First one is where out of the taxes you pay, government pays to the third party providers. It's UK National Health Scheme, or in Canada where you have a system where it is. Or you have the sickness funds which are social insurance based. Just like cooperative societies, you have the sickness funds which work on this. And then of course the insurance based. In countries with tax based or social insurance based systems, people supplement the entitlement with private insurance. Private insurance can also be alternative to public systems. Private insurance affected to cover co-payment, deductibles required under the public system, or cover services which are not fully covered under. So there would be a basic government scheme and something is the private insurance complements or supplements it. Europe, 95% of the population is covered under some sort of a public health insurance coverage, 21% around mutuals and 11% PHI, private health insurance. USA, more than 25% of the population is still without any health insurance cover. Today you talk about Obamacare, you talk about everything, but it's still in a bigger mess. Fundamental causes of increase in healthcare cost: rapid medical technological progress, increasing demands for better care, and aging population. Some countries partly attributed to rising levels of remuneration for medical personnel and practice of defensive medicine. It's very difficult to measure the rate of medical inflation. On a thumb rule basis, it's around 14 to 16%. India is the highest spender on healthcare related to its income. The health spending in absolute terms is still very, very low, $30 per person. Again, Indian demographic situation is totally different. Non-governmental healthcare has outstripped the role of governmental healthcare, amounting to about 3/4 of all finances for health, and most of which is by household as of out-of-pocket expenditure. 2/3 of all spending on hospitalization is done by private financing. Most of the household expenses are being met out of savings. Demand for healthcare is growing due to population increase, greater urban migration, increased per capita incomes, as well as increased expectations. Private sector in India is steadily increasing its dominance in health delivery, with majority of household health expenditures being channeled to it. The challenge is to capture a significant part of current household spending and assure that the total was spent on more cost-effective and high-quality services. What are the determinants of demand for health insurance? One is the public healthcare systems are failing or are inadequate. Higher quality of healthcare costs, Quality of healthcare services, perceived quality difference between public and private hospitals. Improvement in standard of living, improvement in level of education, aging population. Supplier-induced demand. In demand economics, healthcare is the only one where the supplier decides how much of healthcare is required by the person. And increased penetration marketing initiatives. In India, health insurance is transacted by non-life insurance companies, life as well as specialist health insurance companies. What is the coverage there today in India? Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana in 26 states, covering around 35 million families and 120 million persons. When you talk about technology I think this is one of the most wonderful thing, where if people are aware how people get enrolled using biometrics, they are issued a card, which is having the biometric of the person. The sum insured is stored inside it. The hospitals also have the card readers. The sum insured is there inside it. Everything gets blocked. It's a paperless transaction. Today there are states which have started thinking about using this particular healthcare card for PDS distribution. Chhattisgarh has already started it. Karnataka government is also looking at it. To control the leakages in PDS, they're looking at actually uploading the PDS quotas into this particular card and giving card readers to the PDS. Arogyashree in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu government scheme 35 million, Rajiv Gandhi ji and they are targeting around 20 million, commercial insurance around 50 million. You have got ESIS, CGHS, Railway Defence, all these captive schemes around 75 million. So we talk around 350 million, 26 to 28% of our population have some sort of a coverage. Health insurance premiums have grown from 741 crores in 2001 to around 17,620 in 13-14. By 2020, it's expected to be a 15,000 crore market. 60% of the market share is still by the PSU companies, expected to grow at 15 to 18% for the next 5 to 6 years. The growth in retail sector is still very low. A major portion has been correction in the group health premiums. However, the potential of growth is very high, but for insurance companies, the business is still a loss-making business. The loss ratios have been around 100% on just premium to claims and combined ratio when you talk about expenses, etc., around 125 to 130%. If you look at evolution of health insurance, indemnity, just as beautiful, just hospitalization only insurance, then all expenses including outpatient, all comprehensive coverage, and then you go on to managed care. The products which are there, we know Mediclaim has become a generic name, then you have so many different, I don't want to go into details of this. Impact of health insurance on the healthcare sector. Growth of health insurance is going to give an opportunity to improve healthcare standards, especially healthcare infrastructure and accessibility to quality care. Will promote uniform standards of healthcare across the length and breadth of the country. Success or failure of any health insurance program depends largely upon the network and quality of healthcare providers. There is an immediate demand for such facilities. Can help remove urban bias and help develop healthcare infrastructure in rural areas. RSBY is a good example. A gentleman, a doctor, in one of those seminars, he said that the best thing schemes like this have done is that actually I used to practice in a particular hospital in Delhi and always wished that I could have my own hospital, but I could never invest in such. But I could, when RSBY started getting implemented, he said, I went back to my place in town in UP, I could afford to put up an hospital, now I have patients coming there. Different and innovative products would become available. Growth of health insurance means increased standardized data resulting in greater usage of information technology in healthcare sector. Stimulated growth in pharma sector, increased manpower requirements in healthcare and health insurance. What are the areas to be addressed? Unregulated healthcare sector. We were talking about insurance companies having regulations. We have got a regulator for the insurance companies. We have got everybody, but this is one sector today. There is no regulations at all. So I think this is the right forum. Clinical Establishment Act is being brought in by the central government. 8 states have adopted it. We look forward, most of the states, if they try to adopt Clinical Establishment Acts, I think Maharashtra government should look forward and adopt it. And this is going to bring some sort of accountability towards this sector. Standardization of treatment guidelines. The first attempt for standardization of treatment guidelines was made by a FICCI committee consisting of insurance companies as well as doctors from more from the northern NCR region. Variations in prices for same procedure across different hospitals in different cities. Variations in prices in same hospital for same procedure for different patients. Hospitals have separate pricing for insurance and non-insurance patients. Easy availability of drugs without prescription and prescriptions without consultations. Unethical practices across healthcare industry. This is something I'd like to touch upon, just touch upon, because maybe we are quite early. Health outcomes. Outcome measures for quality improvement. Indian accreditation agencies are now emphasizing on incident reports, mortality reports, morbidity reports, surgical site infection rates, rehospitalization rates. For insurers, if we go on outcome basis, Better evidence through outcome measure leads to proper profiling of providers. Link payments to health outcome measures. Help to differentiate between supplier-induced demand and evidence-based practice. Compare effectiveness of procedure used. A high-cost procedure might reduce need for recurring hospitalization. It is beneficial even for hospitals to use better quality. Research outcomes on relationship between cost, quality and health outcomes. Higher spending does not result in better quality of care. This is proven by research. Higher spending also does not result in improved patient perceptions of the accessibility or quality of medical care and their experiences in the hospital. In a payment system where provider incomes depend upon the volume of services they provide, patients in regions with physicians and hospital beds have more frequent visits to physicians and more hospitalization. Recently, AIIMS has come out with something on the annual health checkups which are being there. As an industry, what has the insurance industry done? Health insurance, they have got in health insurance regulations, they have got TPA regulations, they have policyholders protective regulation. So one of the major stakeholders in this, the insurance companies and the insurance industry has got certain regulations in. We have standardized definitions, claim forms, pre-authorization forms, so many common definitions have been standardized. Standardization of data element has taken place. We look forward to move towards electronic transfer of data with the stakeholders. Consumer education and grievance redressal. We expect that now the industry, the provider industry also comes forward, joins with us. Just 8 years or 10 years back, when we used to have committees formed at the national level and providers were represented, they were hardly anybody would attend meetings. But now we see that people actively take part in all this. Days ahead, employers are worried about increasing healthcare costs and are forcing insurers to be risk managers and risk distributors. Insurance companies will look at cost control, which would mean utilization reviews. Cost control involves profiling of providers, doctors and physician education programs. Hospital groups and insurers would tend to get aligned for mutual benefits. Hospital would look at volumes and insurers at cost minimization.
Can we wind up now, Mr.
Yeah,
Deshpande?
just give me 2 minutes. I'll come straight away to what are the insurers' expectations. Medicines and consumables approximately form 25% of the bill in medical cases and 60% in surgical cases, especially when implants are used. More transparent pricing of implants and high-cost consumables. Patient does not have the option to buy them from a store and also verify genuinity. The patient is completely dependent on the hospital or doctor suggest implants based on the patient's condition. What is actually used during the surgery is very difficult to verify. The hospital buys stents or lenses in bulk at hugely discounted prices but bill it to the patient at MRP or even higher. Even if the manufacturer and hospital keep a decent margin, we can expect a reduction of 25% on cost of implants. Also, just like generics, the emphasis would be on indigenous implants and not promote imported brands. The last slide at this universal health suggested approach. You segment the population into affordability and insurability factors. One, A, who can afford and who are insurable. B, who can afford but they are not insurable. C, cannot afford and who are insurable. D, cannot afford and not insurable. A, go for commercial insurance coverage. C, commercial insurance coverage with government bridging the gap in affordability. B and D, government to bear the risk and insurance companies can administer the schemes. This is something like a health exchange. All stakeholders, providers, physicians, pharma companies to collaborate to make available most effective culture. Can we make basic health insurance mandatory if we want to achieve health for all? The slide is important because government keeps on talking about one large scheme over a period of years, 8 or 10 years. Such schemes don't work. Experience with other countries are you get out of those schemes after.
Thank you, Mr. Deshpande. That was a very informative and effective summing up, I think, of the problems facing the industry.